Hare Krishna, so everyone, we begin our class with our prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Vargamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So welcome everyone. We are discussing from third canto Srimad Bhagavatam, and last time we completed first chapter, which is entitled Questions by Vidura. So after hearing all the creation pastimes and so many things about the Purushavataras, Shaunakadi Rishis, they asked Sut Goswami, please tell us about this conversation which happened between Vidura and Maitreya, because they were thinking, okay, all these technical things are going on, let us hear some katha. So with that in mind, Sut Goswami is told that, oh, Parikshit Maharaj also asked the same thing to Shukdeva Goswami. And that's how they started discussion of Vidura and Maitreya. So in the first chapter, the story is described how Vidura was insulted by Duryodhana and he left home. And then he met Uddhava on the bank of Yamuna and he asked so many questions. So although when he reached Prabhasa, he knew that Krishna had disappeared, but still he asked Uddhava so many things about Krishna and his dynasty because he could not accept the fact. His head could understand, but his heart could not accept it. So that's why he asked so many questions about Krishna and the welfare of Yadu dynasty. And then with that, this chapter ended, first chapter. So now we'll begin with the second chapter. And in this chapter, Shukdeva Goswami, he continues. So this chapter describes the remembrance of Uddhava. Uddhava's symptoms of and expression of separation from Krishna. So because Uddhava, he was so much disturbed because of disappearance of Krishna, he actually was in separation and he was completely drowned in absorption of Krishna. So therefore, 15th chapter of the first canto describes Arjuna's remembrance of Krishna. And this chapter describes Uddhava's remembrance of Krishna after he disappeared from this world. So Shukdeva Goswami, he first of all describes that, when Vidura asked Uddhava about the disappearance, about Supreme Lord, he didn't ask about the disappearance, but he asked about the Supreme Lord. So Uddhava, he was actually unable to answer at that moment because he became overwhelmed with anxiety of remembrance. And therefore he describes who was Uddhava first. Now, Uddhava was not an ordinary personality. He is born devotee, he is a pure devotee, he is a Nitya Siddha. So this verse describes the nature of Uddhava. Yah panchahaya no matra pratar ashaya yachitaha tannaichadrachayam yasya saparyam balalilaya. So when Uddhava was only 5 years old. Panchahayano Matra. Only 5 years old. So when he would, his mother would call him for breakfast, Pratar Ashaya. When his mother would call him for breakfast, he would not come. Why? It was not that he was absorbed in playing with his friends. He was absorbed in Saparayam Balalilaya. He was absorbed in worshipping the dolls of Krishna. So that was Uddhava when he was a child. He was not an ordinary child absorbed in playing and other things. तो थोड़ा feedback आ रहा है. Great, great. Okay. So Uddhava, he was an eternally liberated soul. He was not an ordinary personality, and therefore a Nitya Siddha devotee is one who never forgets the Lord. So therefore Uddhava, he was from birth, he was absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. And Prabhupada in the purport, he describes that, when a great soul, an advanced soul, he gets an advantage of taking birth in the family of devotee. As Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Shuchinam Srimatam Gehe Yoga Bhrashto Abhijayate. A person who, if he cannot complete his, practice of Krishna consciousness, then he is given a chance to take birth in the family of devotees or a wealthy person, so that he can practice bhakti very easily. And because Uddhava, he was worshipping the deities of the Lord. He was, as a small child, he was worshipping, he was playing with the dolls of the Lord. So therefore, Prabhupada in the purport describes the importance of deity, especially for a neophyte. A neophyte should be absorbed in worshipping the deity of the Lord. So what is neophyte? Neophyte means one who gets excited by new things. All new things excite him. Oh, now we have to read Bhagavatam. Naya hai, kabhi padha nahi, excited. Ek baar pad liya to phir pad liya ek baar. Going to a new holy place excites him. So going to Mayapur or going to Vrindavan first time, devotees are very excited. Similarly, deity worship excites the neophyte devotees. Oh, this is something new we have to do. So therefore, Prabhupada writes, we have to engage ourselves in deity worship. So if we want to develop steady devotional service, so we have to be absorbed in Krishna. If we are not absorbed in Krishna, then our devotion will not be steady. It will be anishtita bhajan, sometimes very condensed, sometimes very liquid. That is called as ghana tarala, sometimes very condensed, ghana, sometimes very tarala, very liquid. So therefore, Prabhupada writes that Maharaj Parikshit used to play with the dolls of Krishna. So therefore, from childhood, he was absorbed in Krishna's pastimes. It was not that it happened just, some years back. No, he was actually a liberated soul. Sakatham sevaya tasya kalena jarasamgataha prishto vartam prati bruyat bhartu padavanusmaran. So Uddhava, he remembered the Supreme Lord continuously, his master. Bharatu means his master. So Uddhava was continuously remembering Krishna from childhood till the old age. Now he had actually become old, not externally, because Bhagavatam describes that all the residents of Dwarka, they never become old. They're always youthful. So, but Prabhupada translates, even when he was in his old age, his service attitude never slackened. So even if we spend years in Krishna consciousness, new devotees, they're so enthusiastic. Prabhuji, kuch bhi seva bolo, kabhi bhi bolo, I am ready. But after you spend few years, then, theek hai, karenge aaram se, But the service attitude never slackened in Uddhava. Prishto vartam prati bruya. So as soon as he was asked about Krishna, he remembered his master. So Chakravarti Thakur writes that even though he passed so many years of his life, but his newness of devotional service didn't go. We all remember when we started Krishna consciousness, everything was new. So it was so very exciting. Everything was, amazing. Oh, new devotees, everybody's Prabhu, I am servant, I am Das. But after a few years, the sentiment goes down, I am also no less. So everything becomes degraded in due course of time. But in case of Uddhava, it was always new for him. Kalena Jarasam, although he became old, his service attitude didn't slacken. So in the mundane service, it leads to satiation. Mundane service, you get satiated and then you retire from the service. But in spiritual service, there is no retirement. Prabhupada writes in detail. Transcendental service is not mundane. Service attitude increases gradually. There is no retirement at all in Krishna consciousness. In fact, the more you grow old, the more your services increase in Krishna consciousness. So that's how Krishna consciousness is, no retirement. And Prabhupada is himself the sublime example of no retirement. At the age of 70, when people retire, practically leave everything, he left and he started the worldwide movement. Actually, he can be in the Guinness Book of Records for a person who started his career at the age of 70. So that is unimaginable for many. And that's how with all the acharyas is. Kaviraj Goswami says, Ami Briddha Jaratur Likhite ka paikar mane kichu smarane na hoye. Na dekhiye nayane na suniye shravane tabu likhiye bada visme. He's saying, oh, I am an old man, 90 years old. My hands are trembling. I cannot see, I cannot hear, but still I am writing. It is so very wonderful. Ye bada vismay. So therefore, nothing can stop a devotee from practicing Krishna consciousness. There are no impediments. Old age, no impediment. You will find some service which you can do. In the youth, when somebody may do book distribution or other services, in the old age, you cannot do that. So as age progresses, we will not be able to do physical activities more. And at certain age, we will not be able to even move properly. So in that situation, if we don't want to get frustrated and depressed, we have to develop our attachment to things which we can do just by sitting. That is chanting and reading Bhagavatam. So that's how we have to develop our attachment to these things more, because in due course of time, our body will not work properly. So therefore, nothing can stop a devotee. Tvai me ananya vishaya matir madhupate sakrit rati mudvahata madha gange vogham mudanvati. Just like Kunti Maharani is praying, oh my Lord, let my attachment go towards you, just like Ganga goes towards the ocean. Nothing can stop Ganga. Even if you put a mountain in between, Ganga will find a way. So therefore, we have to find a way to continue our service. Kalena jarasam gataha. He became old, but his service attitude didn't go down. So that is how Uddhava is teaching us. So Prabhupada, he writes a verse from 3rd canto where he says, Bhakti is ahetuki apratihata. No impediments can stop us from practicing bhakti. And that's what Uddhava is telling here. He was old practically because so many years had passed, but still for him, Krishna means ever fresh, ever new. Samuhurtam abhutushnim Krishnangri sudhaya vrisham tivrena bhakti yogena nimagna sadhu nirvritaha. So now this verse describes the ecstatic symptoms which Uddhava is manifesting. Samuhurtam, for a moment. That means muhurta means 48 minutes. Prabhupada writes moment. Actually, muhurta means 48 minutes. For 48 minutes, he was tushnim, he was silent. His body did not move. He was completely silent. Krishnangri sudhaya brisham. How? Why he became silent? Because he was absorbed in the nectar of Krishna's lotus feet. Tivrena bhakti yogena, because of intense devotional ecstasy. Nimagnaha. He was completely absorbed, and it seemed that he's going deeper and deeper into those emotions. So Chakravarti Thakur writes for 45 minutes or 48 minutes, he was completely silent. Why? He was absorbed in Krishna's lotus feet. And when he recovered from his fainting, because Vidura was asking questions little loudly, Chakravarti Thakur says, he was speaking loudly. So after 48 minutes, he came back to his consciousness and he started lamenting, oh, I have been separated from my master. Because now he is in the external plane. So therefore he was lamenting. So two things are mentioned here. He was silent and then he was deeply absorbed. So this is a condition of a pure devotee. He is deeply absorbed in Krishna and he does not speak any nonsense things. And just by seeing and hearing something about Krishna, a devotee becomes absorbed. Just like, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is described when Mukunda, who was a physician in the palace of Nawab Hussain Shah, when one day this one of the servants of Nawab, he was fanning him with his peacock feather fan, and Mukunda, he became ecstatic and he fainted actually. So then he asked, oh, what happened? So king asked. So he said, no, I am I have a disease called epilepsy. Sometimes I fall unconscious. So devotee never wants to display his ecstatic emotions, So, but sometimes it happens that it is not in control of the devotee also. So therefore, whenever a devotee hears something about Krishna, he becomes ecstatic. Just like when Yamraj, he heard from the mouth of Yamdutas, there are Vishnu Dutas who had come. He became ecstatic. First time he got a chance to speak Bhagavatam. Otherwise, he was always dealing with management issues. Either tel kam ho gaya, either jalane nahi de raha hai, aag nahi lag rahi hai, all that. So pure devotee is intimately connected with the Lord, and therefore as soon as he hears something about the Lord, he becomes ecstatic. But sadhakas, practicing devotees, they become ecstatic when they hear some controversy of this material world. That excites devotees, sadhakas, because their wiring is completely different. One time there was a person who would collect garbage, who clean all the garbage and everything. So one time he goes to perfume market and smelling the perfume, he falls unconscious. So everybody is trying to wake him up. He's not able to get up. So somebody said, Arey, I know, get some garbage. So somebody brought a piece of garbage and put it near his nose and he got up. So that is the conditioning of a sadhaka. Wherever the exciting thing of this world is, material gossip is available, immediately one gets attracted. So the greatest challenge for a sadhaka is to remember Krishna always. So Prabhupada writes, the feelings of ecstasy are displayed by highly advanced devotees of the Lord. So therefore, after this, Uddhava, he was exhibiting the ecstatic emotions, and Vidura, he could see. And then as he very difficult, it was not easy for Uddhava to come out. Slowly he came out to the external consciousness, and he was trying to wipe out his tears of separation from the Lord. And Uddhava could understand this. At this person, Vidura could understand this, that Uddhava is exhibiting ecstatic emotions. So therefore, the word used is snigdha. Snigdha means, it comes from the word sneha. So snigdha is a quality of ghee. Ghee is very snigdha. So the quality of ghee is, it burns to give light to others. So a devotee, a person who loves somebody, he is ready to make all the sacrifices for the welfare of others. So therefore, devotee is ready to sacrifice everything for the pleasure of the Lord. So Prabhupada in the purport, he described that artificially one cannot imitate the Lord, imitate the pure devotees of the Lord. He gives an example of a pregnant woman. If a woman is pregnant, naturally he will cry when labor pains are there. But if somebody is not pregnant, if somebody is just crying, she will not become pregnant because of that. So therefore, unless we have genuine emotions for the Lord, you cannot experience all these ecstatic feelings for the Lord. So till the time we don't achieve this highest stage of Purna Artha, we cannot relax. So in the 6th verse, Shukdev Goswami continues that great devotee Uddhava came back to the external consciousness, and wiping out his tears from his eyes, he started remembering the pastimes of the Lord. Because generally devotees are not so interested in showing the ecstatic emotions. One time Srila Prabhupada, he was chanting Jai Radha Madhav and he went into ecstasy. With his eyes closed, the tears were coming out from his eyes, and all the devotees were thinking what to do now, because they had never experienced this. So it was going on for a few minutes, and then one devotee started chanting loudly this Hare Krishna Kirtan. And then, Prabhupada came back to external consciousness. So the devotees asked, Prabhupada, Swamiji, when this happens to you, what should we do? Should we stay silent or what should we do? Prabhupada humbly, as a regret, he said, actually doesn't happen often. It was like a regret, oh, sorry, So that's how a devotee never ever wants to show his ecstatic emotions, because that is his personal relationship with Krishna. Nobody wants to tell his personal relationship to the world. So relationship of Krishna and devotee is a personal relationship. When we are sitting during chanting, it is a personal relationship which every devotee has with Krishna. So now we have to work on chanting properly so that we can develop our relationship properly. So Prabhupada writes, when Uddhava wanted to speak to Uddhava, he came back from the abode of the Lord. Actually, he was there in the spiritual world with the Lord. And somehow he came back to external consciousness. Prabhupada in the purport, he describes that Uddhava is experiencing the highest ecstatic emotions. It all starts with Bhakti Lata Beach. What is actually Bhakti Lata Beach? Prabhupada writes in one of the purports of Madhya Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila. What is Bhakti Lata Beach? Prabhupada writes, the methods, rules, and regulations by which one is perfectly trained in devotional service constitutes the Bhakti Lata Beach. The methods, rules, and regulations, these constitute the Bhakti Lata Beach. And the more we water this Bhakti Lata Beach with Shravana Kirtana Jale Karai Sinchan, then it will grow into a creeper, and then that creeper will reach all the way up to Goloka and find shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord. And that's how the creeper becomes steady. Because only when the creeper becomes steady, the creeper starts, giving flowers and fruits. If the creeper is not steady, the fruits and flowers will not come. So unless our mind is focused on Krishna, will not develop these ecstatic emotions. So then out of sympathy, so when Uddhava, he saw that Vidura is already so very sad and morose because Krishna had disappeared. So out of sympathy for Vidura, Uddhava, he first started philosophically explaining what had happened. So philosophical conclusions, they help a lot when a person is in distress. So therefore, you see in any of the pastimes of Bhagavatam, whenever a devotee is in distress, he is given some philosophical understanding. We all remember when in 2012, we have around 7 devotees, they departed in an air crash. It was a very difficult time for many. So when Maharaj came, Radha Swami Maharaj, he came and he gave a class and he quoted a verse from Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 9th chapter, where Bhishma is telling to Pandavas, why all this happened to you? Sarvam kalakritam manye bhavatam cha yad apriyam sapalo yad vashe loko vayo riva ghanavali. Everything has happened because of this time factor. Nobody can do anything about it. So therefore, philosophical conclusions, they help a devotee to become stable in difficult times. That's why it is recommended that we should hear the philosophy. We should understand the scriptures so that when difficult time comes, We should know at least which book to open, which chapter to open. We may not know the exact thing, but at least we should know ye problem hua to ye button dabana hai. Otherwise, in some of the institutes, they give open book exam. You have your book and you have given question, but the student doesn't know abhi dhoondna kidhar hai. Answer milega kaun se chapter mein, because he has never read only. So he'll spend time just finding out the answer. So therefore, at least we should know where to find the answer. That's why scriptures are very, very important. So now Uddhava is speaking. Uddhava uvacha Krishna Dimani Nimaloche Girneshva Ajgarenaha Kim Nunah Kushalam Bruyam Gata Shri Shu Griheshwaham. Krishna Dumni, he gives a wonderful analogy. He says, Krishna sun has set. Oh my dear Vidura, Krishna sun, the sun of the world, Lord Krishna has set. Girneshu Ajgarenha, and our house has been swallowed by the great snake of time. Skala Sarpa has swallowed our house. So now we know, with this time factor working on us and Krishna disappearing, what can we speak about our welfare? Kim nuna kushalam? Abhi kya kushal bataye aapko, Gata Shrishu Griheshwaham. Krishna has gone from our home. What else is remaining in our lives? So first of all, Uddhava wanted to sympathize with Vidura. Don't worry. Krishna has not gone. He has just disappeared from our sight like sun. When sun sets, nobody cries, oh, sun has gone now. No, it has just disappeared from our sight. So Krishna's sun has set and it is risen in some other, universe. So Prabhupada describes this example and analogy in great detail, that sun is not affected by time. Similarly, Krishna's pastimes are eternal. They are nitya. They are never affected by the time factor. And Chakravarti Thakur, he gives wonderful analogy. He says, when the sun sets, the ghosts and the thieves become active. Similarly, when Krishna disappears, atheists, they flourish. And the devotees, they lament. And devatas in charge of religion become unsettled. Just like when the sun disappears, all the thieves and the dacoits, they become very active. The Chakravaka laments. Chakravaka is a bird which laments because that bird likes the sun. And the Rakshasas and the ghosts become joyful at night. Similarly, when Krishna has disappeared, so devotees are lamenting and the devatas are lamenting. And therefore he says, who can be more unfortunate than us? Durbhago bataloko yam yadavo nitaramapi ye samvasanto navidur harim meena ivodupam. So in first verse, he gives the example of sun. Now he gives the example of a fish. So he says, Durbhago, this entire world has become unfortunate. And more unfortunate are Yadavo Nitaramapi. Yadus are more unfortunate. And even more unfortunate is myself. So why? It says, Ye Samvasanto, because the Yadavas, they could not identify Krishna as a Supreme Lord. They considered just like a fish. All the fish, in the Samudra Manthan Leela, the moon was in the water, in the ocean. So all the other fishes, they were thinking, oh, this is another fish like us. He was the Devata. But the fishes were thinking of another fish like us. They could not understand the greatness of that moon. Harim Meena Ivodupam. Just like the fishes could not understand the greatness of the moon, similarly, the Yadus, they could not understand. So when person is present amidst us, Many times we don't understand and we can't understand the glory of that person. Only when the person is gone, then we realize, oh, how great this person was. That happens every time. Whenever a devotee departs, we hear so many things about the devotee and we wish, oh, only we could have known this earlier. We could have served the devotee. We could have, more association with that devotee. So Uddhava is telling all the people are unfortunate because people, they consider Krishna as ordinary king or a politician or a leader. Yadavas, they are more unfortunate. They knew Krishna is Lord, but they are bewildered by the sweetness of the Lord. Because that is the sweet relationship which Krishna had with his Yadus. They had some understanding of Krishna is Paramatma, but they did not know Krishna is Bhagavan also. And he says, I am most unfortunate because I knew Krishna is Supreme Lord. I knew Krishna is Bhagavan, but I could not serve Krishna properly. That is actually mood of a devotee. He never feels that I have served enough. Bahut ho gaya. Bahut seva kar liya main. Pure devotee always thinks that I am the most unfortunate. Durdevam idrishmihajani nanuraga. Who is speaking? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking. He has no tastes. So what is our hope? So that is not reality. That is just humility of these pure devotees. I think somebody can get a chair for Mataji. Or Mataji, you can come. Yeah. So therefore, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that just like a fish in water can't recognize the moon, so all these personalities, they did not recognize the glory of the Supreme Lord. Actually, they were very fortunate. Yadavas are the most fortunate people because 10th canto describes that anyone who can deal with Krishna in a sweet way, they are more fortunate. Because Krishna says, Aishwarya Jnanite Sarva Jagatam Ishrit, Aishwarya Shithila Prema Nahi Mora Preet. He says, entire world is worshipping me with awe and reverence. In Vaikuntha, nobody can put hands on the shoulder of Vishnu and say, Chalo ghum ke aate. There is only one bhava which is possible, that is dasya. But in Goloka, all the bhavas are possible. All the sakas, they can chastise Krishna, kya kali tumko haraya tha, tum kaun sa bada aadmi. So, Sakha more shuddha bhave skande arohan, tumi ko na bada lok, tumi amasam. Are tum kaun sa bada aadmi. Yesterday only I defeated you. Priya more man kori kore bhartsan, sarva ved stuti hoye hare moraman. When the gopis chastise me, their chastisement is sweeter than the hymns of the Vedas. So therefore, these Yadavas, they are most fortunate, but they are thinking like this. Uddhava is telling out of his humility that Yadavas are unfortunate. I am unfortunate. And then somebody will say, okay, but inhabitants of Dwarka, they knew the powers of the Lord, right? So how you are saying that they were not aware of the power of the Lord? So Uddhava says, yes, they were aware that Krishna is Lord, but they were thinking Krishna is Paramatma. They were not recognizing Krishna as Bhagavan. That's why they are unfortunate. And Prabhupada in the purport, he describes how Brajavasis are the highest. Because none of the superior feelings, none of the Aishwarya Bhav can enter Brajavasis. In Damodar Leela, when Yashoda she bound Krishna, so Balram comes and says, Malum hai kaun hai? He's a supreme Lord. Achha. And who are you? I am the first expansion of Krishna, Balram. Achha. Then Yashoda Mai takes a stick and tells, Sabhi avataro ko mere ghar mein janam lena tha. Go out. So that's how all these Aishwarya Bhav does not affect Brajavasis. So therefore they are considered to be highest. And then says, still, even if you say Yadus are, although I am saying Yadus are unfortunate, but still they are glorious. Because they associated with the Lord. Devasya mayaya sprishta ye chanyat asadashritaah Bhramyate dhirna tadvakyai Atmanyupatatmano harau. Because these yadus, they are not like ordinary materialistic people. Prabhuji, chair आपको लेके आना पड़ेगा. I think 2-3 chairs you can. So these ordinary materialistic people, they are devasya mayaya sprishta, sparsha. They are touched by the Lord's material energy. They are under the shelter of demoniac mentality, asad ashrita. Therefore, these yadus are not like them, because these yadus bhramyate dhirna. The yadus, their intelligence never get bewildered like ordinary people, because atmanya upatatmano harau, they are surrendered souls. Anybody who is surrendered to the Lord, their intelligence can never be bewildered even at the time of death. So that's what the verse describes. And even at the time of death, Syat Sambhramo Antakalepi Smaratam Tat Pujam Smaratam Tat Padam Bujam. Even at the time of death, there is no Brahma. So therefore, the devotees, their intelligence never get bewildered by that. So there are two kinds of bewilderment: bewilderment of envious people and bewilderment of pure devotees. Pure devotees also get bewildered. Brajvasis, they never understood and they accepted Krishna to be God. When all the Brajvasis, Upananda and all the Nanda Maharaj's brothers, they came and told that we think Krishna is Supreme Lord. What? Krishna Supreme Lord? Yesterday only he was crying. And when there is thundering in the sky, he runs and takes shelter of Mother Yashoda. What type of God he is? He is not God. So they are also bewildered, and the ordinary material people, they are also bewildered. So envious people, they want to establish that Krishna is an ordinary person, and the pure devotees of the Lord, they also want to establish Krishna is an ordinary person. Baba chhod do, isko Bhagwan mat bana. He's our son. He's our. So therefore, Prabhupada writes in the purport, according to the atheistic point of view, Yadu dynasty was vanquished because there was a curse by Brahmanas. We all know the story. Why Yadu dynasty was cursed. But when devotees, they hear all these blasphemies, that Krishna is an ordinary person, he left his body, he is not the Supreme Lord. All these blasphemies don't touch the devotee's heart. Bhramyate dhirna tadvakyai. They never get bewildered thinking Krishna is a person, he is not God. No, they never get confused like that. They are never bewildered. So therefore, Uddhava, he wanted to establish that devotees will never get confused by any blasphemy, any criticism. When there is love, when the person is separated, there is feelings of separation. But when there is envy, when the person is separated, there is hatred and blasphemy. So all the materialists, because they envy Krishna, so when Krishna disappears from the world, they blaspheme Krishna. They criticize Krishna. So therefore, if we are not perfectly grounded in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, we will get bewildered. Therefore, again and again, scriptures tell, Prabhupada would tell, if you distribute my books, you will stay happy. If you read them, you will stay. So if we want to stay happy in Krishna consciousness, we have to read and distribute the books also. Then somebody may say, okay, but the view of devotees you are saying is correct, right? They never get bewildered. What is that view? Please tell us that. So he tells the next verse. Pradarshaya tapta tapasam avitripta drisham nirnam Adayantaradhadyastu Swabimbam Lokalochanam. So Lord, he displayed his beautiful form, Swabimbam, his form. He performed so many pastimes to attract the eyes of the people of the world. Lokalochanam, he is the attractor of the eyes. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, actually, Lord is most merciful. But actually, he's not merciful. You know what he has done? He has made people blind. Because devotees, they can't see anything else but Krishna. They only see Krishna, they only hear Krishna. All the gopis, when Krishna plays flute, कानेर भीतर वासा करे आपने तहाँ सदा स्फुरे अन्य शब्द ना दे प्रवेशिते आन कथा ना सुने कान आन बोलिते बोलाए आन एई कृष्णेर वंशी रचरिते. So it is described when Krishna plays flute, the flute sound enters the ears of the gopis. They can't hear anything else, only hear Krishna's flute. An katha na shune, they don't hear anything else. They can't speak anything else. Prabhupada writes a beautiful line in the purport, because we may be thinking, to gopiyan hai, hamara kya? Haan, Krishna ki bansuri. Prabhupada writes, for devotees, Hare Krishna mantra is a flute sound of Krishna. So the more we try to hear the Hare Krishna mantra, the more we will become detached from the other katha, which is kukatha. And the more we take darshan of the form of the Lord, we will not be attracted to the other forms of the world. So therefore, Uddhava is telling to Vidura that you are lamenting that Lord is gone. Lord has not disappeared. He is here only. Pradarshaya tapta tapasam. Lord has disappeared from this place for two reasons. First, because his pastimes are eternal. He has disappeared from our eyes and is performing his pastimes at some other place. Second, because he wants his devotees to increase their hankering and eagerness. It's like if somebody is given a diamond, ye aapka hai, and then after 5 minutes it is taken away. He'll become more miserable. So that's how Krishna does to his devotees. We know the story of the first canto, Narad Muni. Krishna appeared in front of him as a small boy, and then he disappeared. Why Krishna disappeared? Lord told that I want to increase your eagerness. That's why you will not be able to see me in this lifetime again. So in between, Lord keeps giving some installments of ecstasy. All of us have experienced some things, some happiness. That's why we are still here. Still we are hanging on. That's what we have to do. Latke raho. That's what a mango has to do. Latke raho. Pak jayenge. Pak jayenge, not in another sense. It will become mature in Krishna consciousness. Pak bhi jate hain kabhi kabhi. Ho jata hai. So Prabhupada writes few points in the purport. He says, Avitripta drisham. That is very, very significant. He says, conditioned souls in this world, they try to satisfy their eyes by so many things of the world, but they are never satisfied. Just like a fish on the land. You give the fish everything, but the fish needs water. Similarly, the soul can never be satisfied if it is not with Krishna. Only Krishna consciousness can give happiness. That's what Prabhupada would say many times. So then he continues. Now, he tells, when he made, so somebody may ask, okay, when he made his form disappear from this world, where did he go? Did he go to Vaikuntha? And how could he take such a beautiful form away from the eyes of people of the world? It is so very beautiful form. So he says, actually, Krishna has not disappeared. He's still there residing in Dwarka, in Vrindavan. He's doing all his aprakat leela. And one should understand that Lord is not material like us. Lord's pastimes are always going on. Lord is transcendental, spiritual. And then he speaks of this very, very beautiful verse. Yanmartya lila paikam swayoga maya balam darshayata grihitam vismapanam swasya cha saubhagarde param padam bhushana bhushanangam. Lord's appearance and disappearance is not like our appearance and disappearance. Lord never gets affected by it. People think, oh, when Lord appears in human form, he has become a human. Avajananti mama mudha. People, Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita, says. But Krishna's form is so beautiful that even the avatars get attracted to Krishna. In the 10th canto, there is a pastime. Lord Mahavishnu was stealing the sons of Brahmana because he wanted to have darshan of Krishna. Vismapanam swasya cha saubhagarde. The last line is very interesting. Param padam bhushana bhushanangam. Generally, when people wear ornaments, first they become beautiful. But when Krishna wears ornaments, the ornaments are glorified, ornaments become beautiful. The same thing is described about Lord Ram also. When somebody exhibits some wonderful qualities, that person is glorified. Oh, he is so saintly, he is very truthful, honest. But when Lord Ram exhibits those qualities, that quality is glorified. Lord Ram is exhibiting you, That is the glory of Lord Ram, and that is the glory of Krishna. So therefore, of all the pastimes and incarnations of Lord's incarnation as two-handed Krishna in the same original form, that is most attractive. We may like animals, but we cannot develop, we cannot share our feelings with animals, When Krishna appears as Varaha, Krishna appears as Narsimha, Narsimha Dev, there is no reciprocation, no, dealings. Reciprocation is there. Only chidbhar, only surgery. You cannot express love like small child. But when Krishna appears in his same original form, athanyadapi krishnasya toka charitam adbhutam manusham rupamasadya tatajati anurundhatah. Toka charitam. Toka means child. The childhood pastimes of Krishna happen only in material world. In spiritual world, Krishna is always Navakishore, always youthful. So it is our fortune that we are able to see and hear about those pastimes. And generally, any child is very attractive. We can just even imagine. We cannot even imagine how Krishna must be beautiful as a child. So therefore, to display all these pastimes, Krishna has come, and Krishna's form is actually par excellence. That is the most beautiful form which he has exhibited. Even Lord Vishnu adores this form. He is a most merciful expansion, most merciful Lord. And he has these 4 qualities which even Lord Vishnu doesn't have. What is that? Venu Madhuri, Prema Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, and Rupa Madhuri. Leela Premna Priya Dikyam Madhurya Venu Rupayo. These are the 4 things. Leela, Premna, Priyadikyam, Madhurya, and Venu. Iti asadharanam proktam govindakhyam chatushtayam. So that's how Krishna's form is very, very special. And when he exhibits any of the qualities, that quality is glorified. When he wears ornaments, the ornaments are glorified. And then Uddhava, he remembers some more thing. He says, you have witnessed yourself. He's telling to Vidura. I can just reduce that. So he's telling to Vidura, what is the use of me speaking? You have personally witnessed in Rajasuya what had happened. Yad dharma suno bata Rajasuye. Niriksha dikswastyayanam trilokaha. Kartsnena chadye gatam vidhatu. Arvakshritau kaushalamithyamanyata. Dharma suno rajasuya. Dharma suno means Yudhishthir Maharaj, the son of Dharma. When he was performing Rajasuya Yajna, all the personalities from all the three planetary systems, Brahma, Shiva, all the Devatas, Indra, Chandra, everybody had come. Nirikshya, when they saw Drik with their eyes, this most auspicious Swasti Ainam, the Lord's form is most auspicious. What they considered, they thought that this form of Krishna, it is the last word in the creation of Brahmaji. Even the most skillful creator Brahma, he cannot make such form. Arvakshritau kaushalamithyamanyata. And therefore, all his skills of creation are nothing in front of this form of the Lord. That's how Lord is so very beautiful and attractive. And that's what, Uddhava is remembering. So therefore, when we hear about such glories and such beautiful forms of the Lord, we have to get attracted to it. Prabhupada writes in Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 17th verse. What is that verse? Natad bhashayate suryo na shashanko na pavaka. Prabhupada writes in the purport, one should get attracted by such descriptions of the spiritual world. That's why all this Bhagavatam is full of such descriptions of the beauty of the Lord. The more we hear, the more we get attracted. Shrutava gunan bhuvana sundara shanvatam te niravishya karna vivarai harato angatapam rupam drisham drishimatam akhilartha labham tvayachyuta vishati chittam apatrapam me. This is Rukmini Devi's love letter. She is writing to Krishna. First love letter in the history. She's telling, I have heard your glories. She had never seen Krishna. Shrutava gunan. I have heard about your glories, O my Lord. What I have heard? Bhuvana sundara. You are supremely beautiful. I have become attracted to you. Sa upashrutya mukundasya rupa virya guna shriya. She heard about the beauty of Krishna. She heard about the wealth of Krishna, power of Krishna. And this is what attracts people in this world. So therefore, the more we hear about such pastimes, such descriptions, the more we will be attracted. And then he says, but actually the attraction of the gopis is the highest. Nobody can come even close to what gopis were experiencing. And Uddhava says, this is not my, Shabda Praman. I have heard it. I have seen it. It is my pratyaksha. When I went to Braja, I personally saw Yasyanuraga Plutahasa Rasa Leelavaloka Pratilabdhamana Vrajastriyo Drigbir Anupravritta Dhiyo Avatastu Kilakritya Shesha. So Yasya Anuraga, in the pastimes of Rasa Leela, when Krishna left all these gopis, they experienced so many emotions. Sometimes they were crying, sometimes laughing, remembering the pastimes of Krishna. So many things were happening. And all these gopis, they were running, searching for you. So therefore, their absorption is the highest because they could not do anything apart from remembering you. When Uddhava, he went to Vrindavan, he wanted, you can, chair rahega bahar, le aa sakte hain. Yeah. So he went to Vrindavan with a message of Krishna, and Uddhava wanted to teach gopis how to meditate on Krishna. So when he entered Vrindavan, he saw one gopi already meditating. So he thought, wow, my purpose is already fulfilled. So he went and asked, what are you doing? She said, I am trying to take Krishna out of my mind. Because I can't do anything. But at least when my eyes are open, I see things of the world. I am little distracted. But when I close my eyes, only thing which comes is Krishna. Our condition is opposite many times, So when we close our eyes, we don't remember Krishna. So therefore, this Uddhava is telling that Krishna is most beautiful, but gopis, they can appreciate Krishna's beauty the maximum because they are completely absorbed in Krishna. Whatever they are doing, either milking cows or threshing grains or taking care of the children, putting cow dung on the walls, anything. Yadohane vahanane mathanopalepa प्रेङ्खेङ्खनार्वरुदितोक्षणमार्जनादौ गायन्ति चैनमनुरक्तधिवश्रुकण्ठ्यो धन्या व्रजस्त्रियौरुक्रमचित्तयाना. Dohane, milking cows, avahanane, threshing grains, mathanopalepa, churning butter, upalepa, smearing cow dung, prenkhenkana, swinging on the swing or making their children swing. Whatever they are doing, Gayanti, they are singing the glories of Krishna. Dhanya, all these Braj Gopis, they are most fortunate. So therefore Uddhava is remembering that these Gopis, they are the best. Nobody can compare. Even Krishna said, I can't repay you. I have told Ye Yathamam Prapadyante, but in your case it is not applicable. Be satisfied with your service. Na parayeham. So that is how gopis are. When Uddhava went to Vrindavan, he went with a jnana. And it is said, he was wearing a cap of jnana. But when he saw the love of gopis, it was such a huge, high skyscraper building. He kept looking up, and his topi fell down. His hat fell down. So that's how gopis are. Nobody could excel gopis in their love for Krishna. And then, somebody may say, okay, but we have heard that, Lord appears from Vaikuntha, and we have heard so many things about Lord's appearance. Can you tell us something about the purpose of Lord's appearance? So Uddhava, he continues that Lord is unborn. He appears to destroy the demons and establish the principles of religion and all these, wonderful things he describes. And then he tells, I have revealed so many things to you, but personally speaking, I also got bewildered many times when I saw Krishna performing so many activities. He's telling that, sometimes I'm bewildered that Krishna is unborn and he is taking birth. Sometimes I am thinking Krishna is all powerful. Yad bibheti swayam bhayam. Switch off the AC if it is. Acha, hot. Okay. नहीं वो नहीं चल रहा है. Only this one AC. Mataj, you can come ahead. So he's thinking that Krishna is such a powerful personality. Even fear personified fears him. Yad bibheti swayam bhayam. And that Krishna is running away out of fear of Jarasandha. How is this possible? So all these things are bewildering me. So therefore Krishna performs so many pastimes which bewilder others. And therefore he says, actually it was giving me so much pain because devotees, they can't see, Lord coming down from his, position of superiority, being the supreme Lord. So he's thinking, I was feeling such pain, so I went to Krishna and I asked him personally. And then he explained me what is his position. Then I became pacified a little bit. So that's what he's telling to, Vidura now. So in the 4th chapter again, Uddhava tells about the Lord. Karmanyani bhavo bhavasyate durga shrayothari bhayat palayanam kalatmano yat pramadayutashrama swatman rathe khidyati dhir vidamiha. Karmani, and there is nothing Lord has to do. Lord doesn't have to do a 9-to-5 job. Still he comes in this world like an ordinary person doing so many things. It is bewildering. He is bhava, he is abhava, unborn, still takes birth. Madbhayad vati vatoyam, suryas tapati madbhayat. Out of my fear, wind is blowing. Out of my fear, sun is giving sunshine. Varshati Indra. Indra is showering rains out of my fear. That personality is running away out of fear of Mother Yashoda. So that is bewildering me. That's what Kunti Maharani also tells in first canto. She tells, once I went to Braja. When this Damodar Leela was happening, Kunti Maharani was there. And when she is offering prayers to Krishna as he is departing, now it is going on in the Bhagavatam. Krishna is departing from Dwarka, Hastinapur, going to Dwarka. So before that, Kunti Maharani came and she offered beautiful prayers. So she is telling, I went to Braja once and I saw Gopya Dade Tvai Krita Gasidama Tavat Yate Dashashru Kalilanjana Sambhramaksham. I saw Gopya Yashoda Mai was carrying a stick in her hand and you were crying. That is bewildering me. Sa mam vimohayati. So that's what, Uddhava is remembering. How Krishna is performing so many pastimes, I can't understand. And then he's thinking, oh, I'm remembering how Krishna is unborn, but still he takes birth, as a child in a prison house. And then out of fear of Kamsa, he is going to Braja as if hiding. That is all bewildering me. One time gopis, they go to Krishna and actually they came to know that Durvasa has come to Braja. So all the gopis, they make a feast to offer to Durvasa. So as they are going, they see Yamuna. So they go to Krishna and say, Krishna, please help us. What happened? We want to cross this Yamuna. There is no boatman. So he tells, okay, tell Yamuna Devi if Krishna is a brahmachari, give away. So all the gopis had a good laugh. Kya, whole day you are with us, whole night you are with us, whatever. Just tell. So gopis, they went and told and Yamuna gave way. They were surprised. They thought, okay, baad mein isko solve karenge. They went ahead, offered food to Durvasa Muni. He was satisfied and then they had to go back again. So they again asked Durvasa Muni, please, show mercy so that we can cross this Yamuna. Durvasa said, just tell Yamuna if Durvasa had not eaten anything, just give way. Abhi to itna khaya. We only offered you. But they could not ask this to Durvasa. So they went and said, and Durvasa gave way. Yamuna gave way. So they became again surprised. They came to Krishna and said, Ho gaya sab? He said, yes, but let us just explain one thing. We are really confused. You said you are a brahmachari if you tell, and Yamuna gave way, but how is this possible? Krishna says, look, I am not interested in any of the people of the world. I just reciprocate with the love and devotion people have. I am not attracted and attached to any of the other things. And this Durvasa Muni, he just eats Durva Asa. Durva, wheat grass juice. And he is not interested in eating anything, but because you took all that food just to please you, he ate. So that's all these activities are bewildering to Uddhava. So therefore he says, I went to Krishna and asked him personally, what is this? So he enlightened me. And then he remembers the mercy of Krishna. He says, I have seen that at the Rajasuya, Shishupal, whose only job was criticizing Krishna. The first words which he spoke was criticism of Krishna. And you delivered him. There are lots of things. We'll just go ahead fast. So it is very, very bewildering to me. How can you be merciful to a person who is, shouting at you and criticizing you? We cannot even tolerate if somebody speaks one bad word. And he was just, every time he was counting, 100 ke pehle 99 pe he would stop. But this time he lost his count. And Krishna, he killed him, but he liberated him. So we are not absorbed so much as Shishupal was absorbed. We count our rounds. But Shishupal, he lost count because he was absorbed. So when we are absorbed in something, we don't count. If we are hungry, we don't count kitna puri khana hai. We are just enjoying. But this Shishupal, he was absorbed. And then he remembered how Krishna is merciful, how he purified even the enemies. So this is a very, very famous verse, very beautiful verse. Tathaiva chanye naraloka veera yada have Krishna mukhara vindam netre pibantyo nayanabhiramam parthasraputa padamapurasya. So when Krishna was acting as Partha Sarathi, he was exhibiting such beauty that when all the soldiers they would aim their arrows at Arjuna, they would just see the form of Krishna and they would be absorbed for a few moments. And Arjuna would take advantage of that and he would shoot arrow and kill that person. But Tathaivacha Anye Naralok Vira, there were so many warriors on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. What they were doing? Ahave means they were looking. Krishna Mukharavindam. Arjuna was not getting this opportunity to see Partha Sarathi form of Krishna. All the other warriors, they were having this. And what they were doing? Netre pibantyo nayana bhiramam. They would appreciate Krishna's beauty at that time. Although they were enemies, but they would appreciate Krishna. That little appreciation liberated them. Partha astra putaha. They were purified by the arrows of Partha. Padamapurasya. And they attained the supreme destination. They didn't merge into Brahman like Shishupal. They got personal liberation because they were purified. They appreciated the beauty. Shriyo nivaso yasyo rupana patram mukham drisham bahavo lokapalanam saranganam padambujam. Everybody wants to see beautiful things and people of the world, but nobody is satisfied. Only Krishna's beautiful face is the drinking vessel of beauty. You can keep drinking the nectar of Krishna's beauty and one will never be satisfied. And that is a wonderful thing about Krishna. Devotee can be satisfied only with Krishna and is never satisfied with Krishna. They want to drink more and more of Krishna Katha and Krishna Kirtan. So that's how Uddhava is glorifying. And then it is the extreme mercy of Krishna is when he delivered Putana. This is the one verse when Shukdev Goswami heard this verse, he became a devotee. When we become devotee by book distribution, we are attracted to it. If somebody becomes devotee by attending some yatra, he is attached to it. Shukdev Goswami became devotee when he heard this pastime of Putana. So if you read 10th canto, Shukdev Goswami describes the beauty of Krishna, beauty of Putana in great detail. A renunciant describing each and every limb of Putana when she came as beautiful lady. So that's what Uddhava is remembering. Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam jigham saya payadapya sadhavi lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tatonyam kam vadayalum sharanam brajema. Aho Baki. Baki means sister of Bakasur. Bakiyam. Stanakalakutam. She had smeared poison on her breast. Her only intention was she wanted to kill Krishna. When she entered Krishna's room, where Krishna was lying on the bed, Krishna closed his eyes. Acharyas gave more than 21 reasons why Krishna closed his eyes. We also close eyes. Abhi class mein hota hi rehta hai. Japa mein to hota hi rehta hai. And devotees, they wake up, kitna so raha hai, And when somebody is woken up while sleeping, kahan so raha tha? I was not sleeping. I was meditating. So Krishna closed his eyes. Why? He was thinking, kuch to acha kiya rahega isne pichle janam mein. So he's thinking, something good she must have done. So that's why he closed his eyes. Stanaka jigham se she came to kill Krishna, but lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam. She gave her the position of nurse. Who can be more merciful than this personality? If somebody drops bomb at parliament and usko prime minister bana de, aisa ho gaya. That's what Krishna is doing to Putana. So this is like a vyaj, this is like a kaimuti ka nyay. Kaimuti ka nyay means इनको इतना दिया तो अभी और क्या क्या दे सकते हैं. If somebody says after eating big feast, he says I can eat 5 rasgullas more. अभी पूरा पेट भर के खाने के बाद 5 और खा सकता है, तो खाली पेट में कितना खाएगा. So that is the work called as kaimutika nyaya. If he can give such mercy to Putana who came to kill him, how much mercy he can give to a person who will love him? पद्भ्याम भक्त हृदिस्ताभ्याम वंदाभ्याम लोक वंदितै अंगम यस्य समाक्रम्य भगवान अपि तत्स्तनम. Those lotus feet who are even aspired by great personalities, he is embracing Putana with his feet. So it is direct touch. Who can imagine the mercy Krishna is giving? Yatu dhanyapi sa swargam avapajanani gatim Krishna bhukta stanakshira kimu gavo namatara. Are Putana ko dhatri. So what is the destination of these Braj gopis who are feeding him with love and affection? So that is what Uddhava is remembering. And after describing all that, so one last thing. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there are 2 qualifications. Shraddhavan anasuyascha. One should be faithful and non-envious. But in this verse, if you see, Jigham sayapya yadapya asadhavi. She is envious and she is faithless. But still Krishna gave her liberation. So we have to understand that when Krishna speaks, he speaks highest standards. But in his personal dealings, he is very considerate. He is very merciful. So when we are speaking Siddhanta, we should speak without compromise. But when we are dealing with people, we should be more accommodative. If somebody does anything wrong, it's nice. Kuch bhi galti kiya, suli pe chada. We should be more accommodative. That's what Krishna is showing by this pastime. And then in the end, Uddhava, he tells, actually, I am not so interested in describing the disappearance pastime of Krishna. So he starts the description from the birth of Krishna. And rest of the chapter describes the pastimes of Krishna in Braja, how he took birth, and then he was taken to Mathura. There he performed pastimes in Vrindavan, in Yamuna. He killed so many of the demons. Every day demon was coming and he was killing them like a child's play. He lifted Govardhan like a mushroom. Child lifts a mushroom. All that. And that's how, and then he ends this chapter by describing the Rasa Leela pastimes. So we'll end here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.